Hey Aquarius, I hope that you're all doing well. The energy that we're starting off with is Five of Wands and the Chariot. When we have that, Five of Wands is like something that we're trying to figure out, where it can be a little bit complicated, or there can be just like a way that we kind of need to show up and assert ourselves. Maybe we need to change our approach a little bit. Maybe the way that we were doing things before, it wasn't really working or wasn't really getting us what we wanted. Having Chariot can be you figuring out what strategy is going to be best and most effectively used for something that you're trying to do that maybe doesn't feel easy, doing it in a way where there's a lack of adaptation. So this is showing that there's a need for you to tune in, to look at this, to maybe approach this situation differently than you would maybe something else that would look similarly. And this can be too, the things that you need to do, like anything that would be getting in your way, anything that would be a barrier to you being where you want to be, doing what you want to be doing, pursuing what you want to be pursuing, what you know to be true for you. So if there's like a relationship that you want to connect with, there's an activity, there's a project, there's a passion, there's an interest, what is getting in the way of you moving in the direction that you feel called to connect with? We have Cancer and we have Aquarius here, both. I'm also looking at Leo on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, I think that overall this is a time, I'm seeing Libra coming out too. Overall, this looks like a time, having Page of Wands and having the Star there, this is going to be like if you could kind of like bypass any sort of issues, any sort of complications, any sort of consequences, and get plopped down somewhere that you want to be. This is like that place that you would want to get plopped down. So whatever that is that you think of, like that's where I want to be. That is kind of the like destination for where we are trying to get to, whatever that thing is. Again, whether it be like a project, it be a person, it be a passion and an interest, like something that you want to know more about, something that you want to explore, a lifestyle shift, whatever it is, it's something that you're like, that feels like the ideal for me, or I think that it might be, and I really do feel moved to go in that direction. But having Five of Wands and having Chariot can indicate that there is stuff that's going to have to be worked out in order for you to go in that direction. So do you have anything going on right now that you need to kind of show up for and set straight, or to like get out the kinks in some way? There's something going on that feels like it doesn't make it easy maybe to get to where you're trying to go, but with Chariot there you have the means of figuring it out. So it's not anything that ends up stopping you. It's a temporary barrier if you choose to assert yourself here and to move through this. And I think there are maybe some like better ways to do this and maybe some like not so great ways to do this too. Having the energy of justice be connected with it, this is about keeping in mind that you are trying to break down a barrier in a way that is going to, like, you're going to feel good about the way that you're doing that, and that is not going to unnecessarily aggravate anything. Sometimes aggravation is necessary. I'm talking about unnecessary aggravation. You know, like sometimes you can accomplish something in an aggressive type of way. Sometimes you can accomplish something in a more diplomatic type of way. And when we have Libra here, this is an energy of, I'm going to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, but I'm not going to create any unnecessary chaos. So it's both of those things. I'm not going to shy away from what I'm trying to do here. I want to resolve this, so I'm going to make sure that I do this. And I'm also going to do it by the means necessary, but not any extra means necessary that would create undue stress, issues, stuff that later on I'm gonna have to come back to and work out because I should have handled that differently. So instead of having to like do that whole song and dance here, it can be like doing it the right way now, which also I think like part of this, if the noise continues, I'll cut the video and we'll do a part 2. When we have justice there, it's very, very important that you are doing truth telling when justice is involved. So this isn't just like, I can like knock down this barrier by maybe saying something that isn't fully honest, and then like that'll be a tomorrow problem and I won't really have to deal with this. When we have justice there, it's making sure that there's like integrity with the way that you're doing things, even if it may be the more difficult thing to do, but you are doing it in a way that you're going to feel happy that that's the way that you did things, and it's not going to make you have to loop around to come correct something because you did it in the wrong way or in a way that's going to need some sort of correction. So this is helping you go where you want to go, doing it the right way, like using the right method to get there, and also not letting anything stand in your way. You know, sometimes there are situations where it's like, it's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to like make it happen. This is a situation where you really can, but you're going to have to apply yourself in order for that to happen. And when we have justice there, it is really important that we move through this in a very conscientious type of way. Because it can already be maybe a bit of a discordant situation. And so in your head, this is approaching things in a way where we're trying to kind of like detangle that, rather than bunching things up more, making more issues. There can be this part of you that can see an easier way for you to pursue what you want to pursue here, but you wouldn't feel good about it. I'm seeing justice, I'm seeing Seven of Swords, having this combination always. This, and also having Cancer here too. There is a way maybe that you can like manipulate things and allow you to get where you're trying to go, but are you going to feel good about doing it that way? Or do you need to do this in an outright way where you're still getting that same outcome of going where you want to go, getting involved in what you want to get involved with, pursuing what you want to pursue, but you do it in an outright way that you feel like keeps your integrity intact? And this is really important, because I do see something. When we have Five of Wands and we have justice, justice is connected with Libra, the shadow of Libra, because we have Seven of Swords, which is shadow energy. This can be us feeling tempted to not be honest, because we know we can get what we want by not being honest, by letting somebody believe something that we know is not true, by like hiding the truth in some way, by avoiding confrontation and being direct, by not being assertive, by not being clear, by kind of like catering to what we know everybody wants to hear rather than what the actual truth is. There can be something like this that's coming up where there's a temptation that you could possibly do things that way to get where you want to go. But having justice there, I would not recommend doing that, because this is something that's going to come back around and it's going to end up biting you when you could just do it the right way and get to where you're trying to go. So it's like you can get to where you're trying to go, at least temporarily, in a way that may appear easier, because you're like, I can't just do that outright. Then I'm gonna have to deal with this, and you know, that person may have this to say, and then I'm gonna have to deal with like that person not agreeing with me, whatever it is. There can be that temptation when we have Seven of Swords coming up of wanting to do what we want to do while avoiding the like due process that we have to take in order to do that. But then there's going to be something that kind of follows you that I don't think you want following you on the trail that you are moving on. So you're going to have to work with this part of yourself. And for some of you, this can even be like denying yourself completely of what you want and where you really want to be, just because you don't want to have to stand behind the choices that you're making and be honest about the way that you feel. So that can also be something that comes up too, where you're like, yeah, if I wasn't scared of like the perceived judgment from this person or having an honest conversation with them, I would go in that direction, but I don't really want to have to deal with all of that, so I'm just going to deny myself. So that can be something that's coming up too, where you're connecting with yourself and maybe like confronting if that's how you want to be doing things. For some of you, you've been doing things in this way, and it can be something that you don't want to do anymore because of the way that you're feeling, and you can know that it's really not sitting well with you, but you're going to have to confront all the places where you haven't been being honest, all the places where you've been hiding from being seen, from allowing yourself to be seen. And this feels like it comes at the like, well, I've been trying to do it so like this person doesn't feel uncomfortable, or so like I don't have to like say the truth and then maybe hurt this person's feelings. Whatever it is, I'm seeing you may have like justified reasons for having been doing this, but at the end of the day, like if you were to really confront this, it would be something that you're like, I know it's not really the right thing to be doing. It has been easier. It's been like, I perceive that it's been making things easier, but there's definitely some like moral issue with this when we have justice being involved in something like this. And so I think overall it's having to work with the part of you that it's like you know how to manipulate versus just being outright and standing behind the choices that you're making and standing within that, and there being accountability. Because I think that there's like a lack of accountability here with this. You know, we all have our reasons. Like I really do think that this is something where if you want to justify this, you can find a way, but do you really feel good with that at the end of the day? And I think that's a bigger question. And are you also like cheating yourself of something that you want too, and something that is like actually accessible to you, but you're gonna have to put in the work in order to do that. Like you're gonna have to be bold in order to do that. You're going to have to trust yourself in order to do that. Things along the lines of that, where it's like standing up for yourself, standing up for your choices, like being clear about what it is that you want, being clear about what it is that you don't want, like not denying yourself just because you're like scared of having confrontation, and being honest and like dealing with things. So this can be like, I see ways that I avoid confrontation. I see ways that I like avoid problem solving in a deeper way because I just don't want to be bothered by that. And then I deny myself of the things that I really want. And then it's like there's such there can be a lack of passion. It's like things just feel very mild and medium, and it's because of doing things in this way. Like imagine feeling so excited about the stuff that you're connecting with and feeling like genuinely so interested to the point where it's like, you know that feeling when you're excited and you don't want to go to sleep because you're like so engaged in something? Imagine it being like that most of the time. Like imagine that being the baseline of things for you. And that really is possible, but you're going to have to address this stuff that hasn't been being addressed. And I will say, like, it probably hasn't been being addressed because of having 5 of Wands and 7 of Swords. I think that this is just like, I haven't really wanted to touch this and I haven't really wanted to deal with it. And it feels with justice there, like there is a way to clear this out once and for all. And that's basically your only barrier here, but you're going to have to do this. And for those of you that you have Cancer placements, you have Libra placements, you have 4th house placements, you have 7th house placements, this can be an energy that you struggle with at times. You have a lot of Venus in your chart, you have a lot of Moon in your chart. It can be ways where we have learned to kind of like cater to other people and be adaptive for other people, and to not be like totally explicit and clear about ourselves and what's going on internally, so other people can feel comfortable, so everybody can just like get along, whatever. And then meanwhile, our life doesn't really feel like our own anymore. So it can be a time when you come into that ownership of, you know, I'm recognizing that I really feel connected with this, and this is something that I want to pursue, and I need to work with this part of myself that feels like I can't just like outright have those things. So it can be about like how you go about connecting with the things that you want, how you go about not connecting with the things that you want, how you avoid, I think most of all, because I think like both Cancer and Libra in their shadows can definitely be avoidant. I think like pretty much more than any other sign. Cancer can be very indirect, passive aggressive, let things build until there's explosions. And with Libra, it can be like appealing to every single person, but that's not really your opinion. You just know that that's what that person wants to hear. So It can be like these types of things where it's like, where do you even stand? Like, what do you really want? What do you really feel here? And are you going to truly honor that, or are you going to stay hiding? Are you going to continue to hide? Are you going to continue to avoid the obvious thing that needs to be addressed in the room? Because it does look like there's a way to actually clear this out, but you're going to have to show up in order for that to happen. This could also be something that's, thinking of the way that I want to describe this. This can be something that keeps you from having to like be totally invested and participate fully. It's kind of like you can have one situation with someone where there's not like too much that's being asked of you, and you can feel like a lack of commitment to that, but it can feel easier at times because there's not as much expected of you, versus being where you really want to be, and there may be more pressure and you may have to kind of like be more involved, but you also get something that's more involved from that, and it's something that feels much more like worth it to you, but it requires like full participation, and it requires like vulnerability, and it requires you like putting yourself out there and really being seen in that setting. So it kind of feels like you can settle for something that doesn't really like ask an extreme amount from you, but it's something that just feels very like weak and mild, versus something that it may really ask you to show up. Like there's going to be an expectation for you to really show up and be there, but it's like something that you would really feel connected with, and that would just like really be like enmesh and make sense with you and like what you're compatible with. And that also being what looks like a difference too. Like you may be denying yourself of something that you would be more fully involved in because you're like being avoidant in some way. Some of you, this can have to do with relationships, can have to do with just like decisions in general that are being made, conversations that are being avoided. Maybe also something that you are becoming more clear about. This feels like not being totally there yet, but this is like possibly in the process of being figured out. What is really actually legitimately of highest value and most importance to you? And some of you may have some things on your plate that you think it's like you're better off to just keep it there, when really it's like not the most important stuff to be putting on your plate and maintaining. So that can also be something, but in order for you to take those things off, there's stuff that you're gonna have to do, and that may be another place where you're avoiding things. It's kind of like the way that this energy is coming through is like something that you can be halfway involved in, where it just may be like kind of easier to get by, versus something that you're gonna have to put in more work, but you'll be like very, very involved in that. And that's kind of the difference of what's being chosen. And it feels like that first option was what was being chosen before, but now you want to transition possibly. It feels like that's the desire, but having Seven of Swords can be like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can really like allow myself to like participate so much and be like so involved in something, because I think it's going to bring up like vulnerabilities that you may be avoiding, being seen in ways that you may be avoiding, having to like be open and clear about the way that you feel in ways that you may have been avoiding or being indirect about. And what is at the cost of this, like what this living your life in this way costs, is you feeling like you're kind of halfway living your life. So you'll be like, I'm here and I kind of like think like maybe this is where I'm supposed to be or whatever, but you don't really feel sure, and it's because of this feeling that you have that there's something more, there's something greater, and there really is. But this can be like denying yourself of that. And I will say too, like having Seven of Swords, having the star here, star is connected with Aquarius. I think Aquarius is one of the signs that's connected with like true authenticity. Having Seven of Swords be connected with that, you can be like hiding your authenticity in some way because of the vulnerability that would be involved in that. Whether it's like I'm not allowing myself to be seen because I like this thing or because I want this thing or whatever. There can be like an avoidance of kind of being clear about that. Even though you would feel in your soul a call to be moving in that direction, there can be something where you're like, I'm going to have to be totally like emotionally vulnerable and honest, and I'm gonna be seen if I go that way and move in that direction. And there's this part of me, Seven of Swords, that feels like I'm not ready for that, or I'm not willing to do it, and I'd rather just like hide and have things be like half committed rather than be totally on board. Because you know, when you get totally on board with something, it's like your hopes are up, possibly. You get really engaged and involved. Maybe you're gonna get hurt. Maybe things aren't gonna work out. Like you don't really know. There's kind of more risk involved. But it's like the difference between feeling like you're really living your life versus kind of just getting by, and like you don't have to do like too many confrontations and issues and whatnot, but it's like not really where you want to be. So it feels like this weird kind of like compromise that's being made for you to not have to be where you really feel like you're meant to be. I think that you're getting closer to being ready to do this. I don't know if you're totally there yet. I think you're kind of on your way. I'm seeing Emperor on the bottom of the deck, which does not surprise me to see. When we have Emperor, it means that the theme is connected with accountability. The theme is connected with bravery. The theme is connected with passion, with making bold choices that are truly honest for us to be making, with checking in with ourselves, making sure that we feel good about what it is that we're doing, by asking ourselves first before we're looking to the approval. I mean, Aries is an energy that doesn't really even look for other people's approval. Aries is an energy, Emperor is an energy that is about being the first to do something, that you don't need somebody to go before you, you'll be the one to do that. So it means to like check in with that part of yourself and move through accordingly. Aries is not a sign of self-denial. Aries is the sign of self. It is living your life in the way that you feel connected with, in a way that is truly authentic at the end of the day, and not hesitating to take action, because Aries does not hesitate to take action. Aries will do what it needs to do and is like, I don't care if I'm going to make a fool of myself, I'm going to do it anyway, because I'd rather like live a passionate life than have like a lack of passion and feel like I'm withering away and like my life force is dying out. Aries is like maybe quick to do something, maybe sometimes a little too quick to do something, which I'm not really getting in this scenario that playing out. This feels like you've been very slow to do something, that now it's coming to the point where you have a choice of like, are you going to keep living your life in this way, or are you going to kind of like be responsible for your life? And I think too with the Seven of Swords that this is the part of us that can really convince us that we're like okay living like this, but it's a huge lie. Because as soon as we dive deeper into it, we realize like all we've been doing is making decisions from a scared place, and that it just creates more of that, more hiding, more feeling scared, like more manipulation, like, and then we just feel more and more out of touch. out of touch with ourselves, out of touch with our storyline, out of touch with those around us. And the things that we really want feel like they become further and further out of reach. And I think like having Aries be the first sign, this is knowing immediately like what you connect with and what you don't connect with, what you want, what you don't want, like who you are in relation to your environment as well. It's kind of like if you could pick any character and any personality, you could have your little avatar, like that is Aries. Aries is that like ideal avatar, but it's you just being yourself. So are you denying that avatar? Are you trying to like badly play somebody else's storyline out? This is reminding me of some quote. I don't remember where this comes from, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it was about it being like better to be messy and play out your own storyline than to do a great job playing out a storyline that's not even yours, being a character that's like not even you. So with that being said, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.